Okay, welcome back. Today I'm doing a double bill. I'm going to talk about both This Is Spinal Tap and The Last Waltz. I've watched these together pretty recently, so it was quite interesting watching the parody then what it was based on. I could have done it the other way around, but I kind of wanted to see, I already knew both films, so I just wanted to see the comic take on it, and then seeing the more genuine take. I thought it'd be interesting to do it the other way, rather than just, normally you watch the serious one, then you watch the comedy. But because this is actually a real life documentary, it's not like a film that people are taking off on, I thought it would be better to watch the parody first. Because even though This Is Spinal Tap is a parody of a working band on the road, that kind of documentary style, specifically there are certain things in The Last Waltz that are being parodied in this Spinal Tap, because Last Waltz came out like 3 or 4 years before this film, and it was kind of very famous, very one of the great rock documentaries, but also had certain pomposity to it, certain bits which they could take the mickey out of. So Rob Reiner plays this character who's kind of like Scorsese, he's a filmmaker. Well, this one makes ads rather than films. He's following a band. Instead of being at one event, it's a tour for America, finding a lot of footage and seeing a lot of the dysfunction of the band. The band Spinal Tap is this, like, most people in the video knows who they are. They're this rock band who are on their last legs. They've hit 40 and they've had their peak, they're well past their peak, and they're still trying to make a go of it on the road. When people aren't interested anymore, people have moved on to other bands, they are not relevant anymore, and they can't accept it. So instead of doing like a serious drama about that kind of subject, they do a parody showing how self-involved, how silly they are, and how petty, and the delusions of a band, a typical band. So you have an incompetent manager, you have a girlfriend who starts touring with them, causing havoc within the band. You've got the various egos of the two main driving forces in the band. There's other people trying to deal with that. And you've just got the chaos of trying to go from city to city and do these rock concerts day in, day out, and all the havoc it causes. So you've got all of that, plus you have a documentary crew following them. So what the film has is a really good comic cast. You've got Christopher Guest as Nigel Tufnell, who's a thick member of the band. The lead singer is Michael McKean as Davidson Hubbins, who's a bit more the pretentious one. You've got Harry Shearer as Derek Smalls, who's the bass player who's kind of the quieter one. There's a drummer and there's a keyboard player. And you've got Ian, I can't remember his name, somebody, his name messed me, as Ian the manager. I've completely blanked his name. And this character's hilarious. He's just incompetent, he just doesn't get anything right. But he's incompetent just in the right way, because he's incompetent at a level where that'd be expected, rather than making it completely broad, he's rubbish at everything. No, he's just, things go wrong with him and Charles because he's probably overworked and without much support, but he's also got an ego like everyone else, so it's a disaster. And they've got all these events happening. They start the tour, they go to the kind of promotion to start the tour. It's all by swanky New York thing, everything's going well at that point. They're going to bring an album out during the tour, which turns out the album wasn't really mixed right, and the cover's really offensive, because this band's a rock and roll band, they're hard rock and roll, and they're kind of behind the times, and they're kind of sexist in the way that a band of that era might be. You know, they just don't quite get the changing times. So you've got lots of really cool stuff, and there's lots of famous information, famous scenes like this goes up to 11, you know, I'm trying to find the stage and they're going round and round as a maze, you know the breakups of the band. You've got the Stonehenge thing where the big Stonehenge thing might come down, and it turns out it's only this size. and it's in danger of being crushed by a dwarf, is the great line from that. There's tons of great moments in this film. Everyone's got their own favourite, moments, favourite scenes, favourite characters. I just like, my favourite stuff's always to do with them dealing with their manager, who's just not good at anything, and who can lose temper at anything, and just watching them whine and cry about things, and just him trying to deal with them with no patience, I always find hilarious. And him then having to deal with the girlfriend of the pompous one, they're kind of my favourite stuff in the film. But everyone's their own favourite moments. What's really interesting about the film is just how subtle but how broad it is at the same time. I mean, it's a very broad film. When you actually watch it again, I've seen it God knows how many times, you actually realise how kind of broad the actual satire is. It's about every band, but the focus down to this one band, so every little thing they do is like tied to the characters, these 5 characters who are in the band, but they've heard all these weird rock and roll stories, so they've got all these little details for each character that kind of represents various stories from the life on the road from various bands. So it's never quite one band of parodying, I mean, Christopher Guest and Daniel Tufnell has this kind of Mick Jagger feel to his accent. It feels the way that some people don't really think that Mick Jagger's the most brightest guy ever. There's a sense of him taking a piss at Mick Jagger. The Davidson Hubbins one is he's like he's into all these weird Eastern philosophies. I mean, one of my favourite lines in it is cosmically my life was a shambles before being torn about before he met his wife, and he's really pretentious, and he can stop and pause and think as if he's thinking very deeply, but there's nothing there either. I mean, Nigel's the obviously thicko one, but he's just as thick, but he just doesn't get it how thick he is. There's wonderful nuances to that character that actually gives it. He's probably the one they can push in different directions a bit more, because he is so po-faced. He doesn't really have a sense of humour, but he's a very funny character because he doesn't get it. The Nigel Tufnell character is just as humourless, but he's more like a puppy dog who's getting swatted to things, and it's quite amusing to watch him. There's a different way because you feel sorry for him because he's so stupid. This other one, the Michael McKean character, you feel a lot less sympathy for him because he brings most of the problems onto the band, because he is that pretentious git that every band probably has and every band probably hates. The guy who just thinks he's smarter than he really is, and who just is always looking for depth, and he's the quickest one to whine about anything. Harry Shearer, the underrated one, because he's a quieter member of the band, but when he delivers, he really delivers, because he plays it completely straight, completely delusional, but he thinks he's the normal person in the band, and he's just as weird as everyone else, and he doesn't quite get how weird he is. The other 2 band members you don't see as much. There's one that's the drummer, they're always losing their drummers because they keep on dying in hilarious ways, and the keyboardist who just seems to be drugged out his mind most of the time. So you've got all these characters and you've got terrific music, but the funny thing is watching this, then seeing Last Waltz, is this film's very fond of the band and very fond of pretensions, and it's very much laser focused on pretensions and stupidities, and it's the pretensions of filmmakers making documentaries and how they're taking things seriously that aren't really serious. You've got all of that, but if you actually see against Last Waltz, despite the fact there's some unintentionally funny things with the bands as they talk, it's still a great movie because it's just so good at the music. And the music in Spinal Tap's brilliant as well, but it's all parody. And it's hilarious. There's some great songs like Big Bottoms and Stonehenge. They're wonderfully pretentious and wonderfully absurd, and they're written as if they're written by people who are really stupid, who think they're really onto something, but they're catchy at the same time because they're funny. But this film pales in comparison to the music to Last Waltz, and you get the sense that, and that's where the big difference is. Like, there's like a vagueness because it's a parody to Spinal Tap compared to the Last Waltz, because they're too tongue-in-cheek almost, even though they're not. We don't watch an example of that right after watching the film. Spinal Tap looks almost like a documentary, even though it's a elevated one. It's obviously everything's been staged, but it's really funny because it's taking moments of what bands have actually done in the insanity of touring and the insanity of a band falling apart. But then you see, compared to the people who are actually making music in the Last Waltz, you see a big difference, because in the Last Waltz you've got musicians who take themselves too seriously, but they really love the music. You can see when they're doing the music, they really love it. And you don't really get the same thing in this is Spinal Tap, because they're taking the mickey so much that the actual pure joy of the music isn't there. It's too tongue-in-cheek. It's really funny, but you don't get the same joy of the film. So Mrs. Spinal Tap is a wonderful film, but it is missing that pure joy of the music in a sense that you get from something like Last Waltz. The Last Waltz is one of Scorsese's best films. It really is. It's in some ways it's more difficult to talk about, because the enjoyment is watching it, and watching a good TV with a sound system and hearing the music and seeing the band members as they do their thing. But that's what's great about it, is actually just watching these sequences, the way they've been shot, because Scorsese, this was Scorsese at his best. This is where I was peaking just after Taxi Driver, when he was doing New York, New York before Raging Bull. He was really into it, really loved this music, and you didn't get the problem you get from Scorsese in a lot of his films, where the script's not as good as the visuals. Now, Scorsese's really good at visuals. He works well with cinematographers, with actors. He knows what he's doing, but sometimes the material he's chosen isn't really up to his visuals. And here he doesn't have to make up a story or anything. He just has to shape an event, which is the band's farewell concert. They're never going to do it again. Well, some of them did actually later on. This is the farewell concert. They brought a lot of people who they were friends with, who they worked with over their 15, 16 years on the road. Go from place to place, the way that you see in Spinal Tap. But they were a successful band, they were a successful working band, and this is them saying that that's enough touring. And you get the actual sense of people who loved making music, who loved the life of making music, who were really into what they were doing, and when they're actually playing the music on stage, the joy of doing that comes across, that they're really into what they're doing, they really love it, and they really love the little details of playing a certain instrument, and things that would be a joke in Spinal Tap like this goes up to 11, you can see the weird psychology of as these people are perfectionists. They want that every concert to be as good as possible. They want everything to be perfect, and they know how it should sound when it shouldn't sound a certain way. They know the technical details of it. They've worked so hard over the time, and they get a pure joy, a total buzz out of still performing and still doing this music. That it's just there, and it's in all the scenes, or every other concert scene you get, where Scorsese's moving in and out, but he's keeping the shots fairly slow compared to what you'd get nowadays. It's like you're actually seeing the people in the bands play with each other, interact and see each other, look at each other as they're doing it, smiling as they're doing it, and smiling as they're going to crescendo and they're going to do this great moment that they've already done a million times. The pure joy doing it still there. It's Scorsese knows to keep back, but he's still zooming and intercutting, so you're seeing different people, different members of the band at certain different times, as there's a drum section you need of this bit, so it cuts the drum section, but instead of just being mechanical, it feels much more like this is like the soul of the band to this point of the song. Then you switch to the guitars, then to the piano, and it's like it just keeps going as if they're all part of one, they're all important. And that continues throughout, because you see the band doing their songs, and there's a couple of songs that restaged later on as a kind of, as like certain famous songs they weren't done properly, maybe they didn't do it right on the farewell tour day, or maybe they wasn't done as well as they wanted, they did a few, and brought a few guests to do it later on. But and those things are shot, but they're still shot the same way, the same sense of everyone's contribution is very important. This is a wonderful thing about the film, it's everything's important. The whole sensation of making this music is important to these people. And you also get a lot of guests coming in. You get like Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Ronnie Hawkins, all these really great musicians coming in, and they're playing a little bit with the band, and they're doing their thing, and they're interacting with each other. It's obvious all these people have played with each other a lot in the past. They're all friends, they all adore working with each other, and it comes through. And it does make something like Is Spinal Tap feel a little vague in comparison, because this film shows the lives lived and the years and years and years of work that goes into it, and the actual joy of the music and the sense of the music. Because the music in Spinal Tap is really good. The music in this and Last Waltz is so much better. It's just some of this great music, and it's just Muddy Waters man-child thing is just amazing, because it's the camera's on it for most of the time. It barely even moves, and they're just letting the musicians bring the energy. And that's what the film does a lot. Is like it knows when to stop moving the camera and let the musicians and the music push the energy forward. And that's just hard to really do as an act, as a fictional, even if you try to do a fictional documentary, you know, for comedy, you know, it's hard to do, to get that ingrained sense of lived reality. You just can't really do it, so it's always going to feel a bit fakeish in comparison. The film has lots of other cool stuff. You get the band talking, behind the scenes they talk, and all give their point of view. There was complaints by Levon Helm, who was the drummer and one of the singers, who said that certain members were spotlighted more than others, like Robbie Robertson, who was the producer of the film and one of the guitarists and vocalists. They thought he was promoted because he was the one who was pushing it forward against other band members like Garth Hudson and Richard Manuel, who were in the background, but they were much more in the foreground than most other in the history of the band. So yeah, he said certain members of the band weren't given their due respect, and he just disliked it because of that. And I can see his point, because those two members were less highlighted in it. But because I'm not really a follower of this band, I didn't notice it as much. But yeah, once that's pointed out, yeah, you can see that was a valid complaint. But also, you still get a sense of this is a really great band, really terrific band who are doing their thing, who are really enjoying themselves. So yeah, some egos go out in the way probably, because they're coming in better balance. But the effect of the film was just a wonderful documentary and concert film. It's some wonderful music. It was so well paced, intercutting the band talking and the actual concert really worked. You get a sense of who the band were, some of the stories, you get a sense of who they were as people. It was all wonderful. But yeah, I'm sure I wish I'd seen more of those. The two people we mentioned were underused. I wish I'd seen more of them, because they seem to be really interesting people. And Robbie Robertson, who was kind of the focus, he seemed less interesting than anyone else in the band. There was also a suggestion they could cut off his mic as well during the concert because he's not a good singer. That was another suggestion. I don't know if that's a factor or not, that's just something I heard. But yeah, I can see it's a criticism. It seems like a valid criticism actually. But it's still a wonderful film. It's just still wonderfully done. And it just shows you, it's one of those rare films that shows you how great a band can be in their environment, because nowadays you see most bands seem to, it's just like music videos, and a lot of the bands who are playing these environments don't get covered because you might see my channel where I used to have a radio station, we used to have live bands in and we did videos on them because they weren't getting much play with anyone else. We tried to do videos just to promote them a little bit. And watching this film give me a flashback to that, where you just see the power of a live band in a small environment or in a big environment, and just the sense of all these people working together to create this music. And a lot of music videos and a lot of music concerts, you don't get that same sense. It's very kind of desensitized. It's just pretty much very kind of bland and distant. In this film you get a sense of how hard work it is to do this job, to create this music, to keep it up and vary the pace so that every song comes out right, and being interacting with all your fellow bandmates to make sure the music comes off each and every song. And it really shows that, and really shows how musicians work and how hard work it is and how enjoyable it is for them. So it's a wonderful film. It's just very uplifting, very just terrific. I saw it in, I think I saw it was a Blu-ray. Looked gorgeous. The Eureka Blu-ray is gorgeous. The sound's great. I'd highly recommend getting that. It's just a wonderful disc. The Spinal Tap Blu-ray is good as well, but it's not as well shot as Last Waltz. You know, there was a budget in that one. I don't think they did that much budget, but it's still wonderful to see as well. But most of you watching this probably have seen Spinal Tap. Last Waltz might be something you haven't seen, but I would definitely recommend seeing Last Waltz. It's wonderful. It's great. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back soon for another video. Goodbye.